You save money because you believe that's safety. You budget because you were taught that responsible people do. You avoid risk because it sounds intelligent. It feels obvious. It feels correct. And that's exactly why almost everyone makes the same silent mistake that is slowly destroying their savings without noise, without panic, without headlines. This mistake doesn't look dangerous. It looks smart. It looks mature. It feels calm. And that's why it works so well. For a long time, saving money actually worked. People who saved could survive crises and come out stronger. That wasn't a myth. It was reality. The problem is that you're still following an old rule in a game that has completely changed. The rules shifted quietly while you stayed disciplined, and the system doesn't reward discipline when it's applied to outdated logic. Today, money sitting still isn't resting. It's decaying, slowly, every single day. It doesn't disappear. It doesn't crash. It doesn't trigger fear. It stays right there, showing the same number, giving you a comforting illusion of control. You look at your balance and think you're safe. You forget to check what that number can actually buy, and it buys less every year. Most people think you lose money when something goes wrong, a bad investment, a crash, a crisis. But today, the biggest losses happen when nothing happens at all. Doing nothing is no longer neutral. Doing nothing is choosing the worst possible position. It's like standing under a leaking ceiling and believing that staying still will somehow stop the water. You see prices rising and think everything is getting expensive. That's only half the story. The real story is that money itself is shrinking. Things didn't magically become more valuable overnight. The measuring stick got shorter. When the ruler shrinks, everything looks bigger, and the human brain falls for that trick because it focuses on numbers, not on purchasing power. There's a very comfortable fantasy that keeps people frozen, the idea that everything will eventually collapse, that prices will fall, that those who waited patiently will be rewarded. This fantasy turns waiting into a strategy. It makes inaction feel intelligent. But the modern system doesn't need a dramatic collapse anymore. It learned something far more effective: slow erosion. Instead of panic, routine. Instead of shock, normal life. While you wait for the perfect moment, the game continues. And the people who understand this aren't waiting. They aren't hoarding cash. They're exchanging something that can be created endlessly for things that cannot. Not out of greed, out of self-defense. This isn't speculation. It's adaptation. You may have noticed strange behavior lately. People buying assets that seem irrational. Things that don't make sense at first glance. Many call it madness. But it's not hype. It's rational fear. It's capital running away from something that melts quietly. When trust in money weakens, almost anything scarce starts to look safer than something infinite. The silent mistake is trusting what looks stable, believing that because the number doesn't change, the value is protected. It isn't. Nominal stability hides real loss, and this kind of loss doesn't trigger alarms. It numbs you. You only realize it when reacting feels exhausting. The most dangerous part is that there's no obvious villain, no red button, no dramatic event. Everything happens within normality, wrapped in technical language, confusing charts, and explanations long enough to make you stop paying attention. And while you stop paying attention, the process continues. You were taught that prudence means avoiding risk. No one told you that standing still carries enormous risk now. A quiet risk. A socially accepted risk. A risk that slowly dissolves the value of your effort. If you're waiting for a big moment to justify change, it may never arrive the way you expect. Maybe it already started, just in slow motion. And that's far more dangerous. If this video made you uncomfortable, that's a good sign. That's usually how awareness begins. Comment what part hit you the hardest. Subscribe to the channel if you'd rather understand the game than pretend it hasn't changed. And leave a like, not for support, but to signal that you value clarity over comfort. The silent mistake is happening every day. The only real decision is whether you keep calling it safety or finally call it what it is.